Hi Ma. So in the earlier session, we have gone through assignment and network analysis. Those are the most important topics. So definitely you can expect a good score from them. Minimum 15 to 20 marks. Minimum in the worst case. Okay. So now we are going with the next topic, that is transportation. Sir, what is the basic need of transportation for us? Because the main reason is that we are being responsible from company point of view, and company manufactures goods at a factory and they have to carry them to warehouse. From factory to warehouse, if it is only one factory and one warehouse, there is no issue at all. Definitely we have to transport them. But however, for an organization who has been having operation either at a multiple states or a multiple nations, then there are more than one factory, and then there are more than one warehouse. So from which factory to which warehouse, so that our transportation cost should be minimum or optimized. Okay. So if we see the what is the part they are dealing with, it deals with the transportation of product. And for example, if there is only one factory and three warehouses, there is no issue at all. We can there is a requirement of transportation and we will transport basically. There is a second thought for us. But there can be scenarios where there are more than one manufacturing points, that is more than one factories and more than one outlets, that is warehouses. So from which factory to which point we have to transport the goods so that our supply and all met with the demand at a warehouse. Sir, we are supply is at where factory ma'am, and demand is at a warehouse. These should be balanced. Sir, fine sir, we are balancing but not compromising regarding cost. Okay, the main target of a company is to optimize the cost now. So we have to decide which is our best alternative. Okay, and now, sir, if this is the first scenario, for example, there is only one factory, sir, there is no issue at all. We can transport the goods, it's very fine. But however, in the real world, there are more than one factory and there are more than one warehouse. There can be a chance from factory 1 we can transport the goods to warehouse 1, 2, 3. The same way from factory 2, 1, 2, 3. So now, which is our better alternative? The better alternative in the sense from which what point of view, ma'am? Cost point of view, we have to see the better alternative. Okay. Now, if we go further, so our main motive is what, ma'am? So that the total cost is minimized and individual capacity of each factory is exhausted. Sir, when we are producing the goods at this factory, that is supply point, we are reaching at which point, ma? Demand point. Sir, until unless the factory whatever produced, if it is supplied, then we go for next factory basically. And main motive is that all the factory supply should be met with the demands. Okay, there should not be any leftover stock at any point. Am I clear, ma? Now, sir, steps to solve transportation problem. Is this visible, ma? What are the steps to solve a transportation problem? Sir, the thing is that basically, first check whether it is maximization objective or minimization objective. The first check. Okay. The first check is that regarding maximization objective, what is the point, ma'am? Sir, you might have heard the same words in the case of assignment also. In the assignment also, we are having the first question, whether minimization model or maximization model, whether it is balanced or unbalanced. Same those two checks will repeat here. Okay, sir, regarding maximization objective, what is that, ma'am? Revenue, turnover, profit, or contribution. Sir, if I'm transporting the goods from factory 1 to warehouse 2, I may be getting some sort of more contribution. So here our motive is to maximize the contribution. Okay. So, but however, what is most important, ma'am? In the case of transportation or assignment, we can solve the problem when it is a minimization model. But if it is a given model is maximization model, what we should do, ma? Just convert the maximization model into minimization model. That is common. And what is second check, ma? Whether supply is equal to demand. There, number of rows equal to number of columns. Okay. In the case of assignment, what are we checking, ma? Whether number of rows is equal to number of columns. But here, what are we checking, ma? We are checking regarding the point of whether it's a demand and supply are equal or not. If they are not equal, it is unbalanced and we have to include either dummy demand or dummy supply where there is shortage. Okay, these two things are common, ma'am. Basically, for any method, whatever method you are solving, okay, then these two checks are primary checks. What is the first check, ma'am? Whether it is maximization, what is the objective, maximization or minimization? If minimization, there is no issue at all. We can solve the problem by following the steps. And what about next one? If it is maximization, we have to convert the maximization model into minimization model. How to convert, sir? Same like assignment. Identify the from the transportation cost. Basically, I will show how it will be. Basically, it is the same. Okay, from these elements, identify the what you have to do, highest one, and from that we have to deduct the same all the elements. That is common in the case of assignment, and is also same in the case of transportation. Okay, is it clear? So if it is clear, the second check is clear now. Now, that there can be three alternatives in the case of a transportation problem. What is the first alternative, ma? The first check, okay, that is minimization. Superb, sir. We are very happy. As it is a minimization model, we need not worry at all. And what is next second check, sir? Whether demand equal to supply or not. If demand is equal to supply and all, then the following steps are based on the method. We have to follow the steps. So there can be second alternative. What is that, sir? Sir, first check satisfied, but the second check, that is demand equal to supply, is not at all satisfied. Then what we have to do, ma? We have to include dummy column, or sorry, dummy demand or dummy supply. Okay, there it is dummy column or dummy row. That's the point. Okay, and there can be a third scenario. What is that, ma'am? The first check, there it's a failure. What is that failure, sir? It is maximization model. When it is a maximization model, what we have to do, we have to convert into minimization model. These are most important basics when you are solving a problem. Okay. Next, same as assignment, that is fine. What is this one? So normally in the case of dummy demand or dummy supply, the elements will be zeros. But however, in the question, sometimes they may give a point that the element should be so and so. Then use the so and so numbers. This and all basically I will solve normally in the earlier session when I upload the video and all regarding assignment and network analysis. Few of the students are asking regarding salesman problem. Tomorrow, okay, I will solve a network analysis problem, salesman assignment and all, and even the problems related to transportation. First, I want you to be clear regarding concept. So today our main motive is to give clarity regarding the concept. Okay, sir. And normally there are how many methods? So this is most important, sir. If it is unbalanced, we have to balance it by including dummy demand or dummy supply where there is shortage, basically. Okay, if you see this part, this is these two parts should be equalized. If they are unequal, it is unbalanced. Then we have to include a dummy. Okay, but while including dummy on all, if they are mentioning that should you have to use specific numbers, use that, no issues. Okay, and next, sir, normally in the case of transportation problem, okay, at CMA inter level they are having 5 methods. Okay, but at CMA final level they are going with the first one, the fourth one and fifth one. The minimum cost matrix is nothing but least cost method. And for northwest corner rule, sir, normally northwest corner rule, least cost rule, and Vogel's approximation method. These three are important for a final level, guys. Okay, sir, northwest corner rule is also known as copper chance method of northwest corner rule, or upper left corner rule, or stepping stone rule. Okay, there can be alternative names. So these names can be asked in MCQs. So be careful with these areas, ma. Okay, so now what is the first one, ma? Northwest corner rule. What is this, sir? Sir, you know the directions now. By using the same directions, we solve this problem. How to solve that one? Basically, see. Okay. So in this case of problem, these are the elements we are having. Okay. These are the elements we are having, ma. Basically, from these elements, what we have to do, ma? We have to go with the northwest corner. Then if you see this part, the northwest extreme corner is this. Okay, or else what is the other word, ma? Upper left corner. There here this is the upper part and here it is left part. So from here we make allocations. Sir, in the case of northwest corner rule, we go with this element first. Okay. From this element, we keep on making allocations. How to make allocations and all, just listen ma first. So identify the northwest corner element now. From here, allocate either supply or demand, whichever is lower. Okay, what is that ma? Allocate either supply or demand, whichever is lower. Okay, so in this case, 5 or 7, whichever is lower ma? 5. Sir, I made allocation of 5 here. Then as it is fully exhausted, cancel it ma. That is good for you. If you are cancelling it, you can go for the sake of calculation, for the sake of cancellation, you can opt either, you can go for either lines or intos. Like this, you can go. That is your wish. Okay. So here, when we are here at this point, what is the northwest corner 19? Of this, we are allocating either 5 or 7, whichever is lower. That is demand or supply, whichever is lower should be allocated. Ma. So here, what is the lowest number? Ma? Our lowest number is 5. Okay, this 5 will be allocated here and is mentioned here. Okay, clear ma? As now, when the part one, either column part or row part, if it is exhausted, just cancel it. That will be good for you. Okay, so now as the this part is cancelled, I'm clicking. And here how much is left over ma? 5 is already done, so 2 is left over. Now whatever left over, okay, from them go with the northwest corner. Okay, this is a basic fundamental rule, ma'am. Every time we go with the same process. Clear? Am I clear, ma'am? So this is the northwest corner. Now same process. What is it, sir? At this point, what is the options? Either 8 or 2, whichever is lower. Am I clear, ma'am? Whichever is lower. So now on that basis, we are at this point. At 30, 8 or 2, whichever is lower, ma'am, 2 is lower. So this became 0 and it became here 6. So how much we allocated amount? 2 we allocated. Now which part became column part or row part became exhausted ma? That is supply or demand, which is exhausted, there we have to identify. Sir, in our case, this part it became exhausted row part. Cleared ma? Cancelled. If it is cancelled, whatever resultant elements left over, whatever balance elements left over, for that we make allocation. Sir, here how many elements are left over ma? This 3. This, okay. In this, what is a corner ma? This is a corner. Am I clear? Am I clear ma? If I'm clear, then we shall follow. So for this element, how much we can make allocation? See the numbers. Either 9 or 6. Whichever is least should be allocated. So as a 6 is the least number, I'm allocating 6 here ma. So here it is 2, here it is 6. Now when the 6 allocation is made, so what is left over here, sir? 0, and here it is left over 3. Now which part became 0? Either a demand part or a supply part, row or a column. Okay, so we need to cancel that part now. As this became 0, I'm cancelling it. Now what are left over, sir? Only these items are left over. Again, northwest corner. So the northwest corner element is this. Okay, for this element, what allocation can be made? See the options. Either I can make allocation of 3 or I can make allocation of 7. 3 or 7, whichever is lower ma, 3 is lower. So I am making the allocation of 3 there. Fine. And now what is that ma? Here it got cancelled, it became 0, and here it became 4. Am I clear? Now which part became 0? That is exhausted. This part became 0. Now cancel it. What are still left over ma? We are left over with only 2 balloons. Sir, here you can go with either northwest corner or simply make respective allocations. Sir, basically in this case, only 2 numbers are left over. Okay, and here see 18 or a 4 plus 14. So when you reach this point, basically they are equal now. So just maximum you can allocate this 4 to this and this 14 to this, or else as per the rule, this is the northwest corner. How much I can allocate? Either I can allocate 4 or 18, whichever is least. So 4 is the least number now. So I am making allocation of 4. So it becomes 0, it becomes 14. So how much is the allocation there, ma? 4. This is the one. Clear, it is done, ma? Now what is last number left over there? 20. For that number you can make the balance allocation. That is here 14 left over, and here also it is 14 left over. Just allocate that number, that will be fine. Okay. So, and one most important thing is that, ma, while you are making allocations, if you are not remembering or if you are unable to mark these numbers, then it's gone. My humble request, whatever you make the allocation, okay, you mentioned there. So here 19, here it is 2, here it is 6, here it is 3, here it is 4, and it is 14. Now how to get the transportation cost, sir? Just multiply the allocated units into transportation cost. Whatever the elements present here are nothing but transportation cost. Okay, so now by seeing this matrix, what is the cost there, ma? Can you tell that part, buddies? Uh, Initially 5 into 19 plus 2 into 30 plus 6 into 30 plus 3 into 40 plus 4 into 70 and 14 into 20. This will be the transportation cost. Clear, ma? Sir, I am repeating the process again because northwest corner method is easy and important. Okay, basically for transportation, we are having three things. If they are not mentioning anything, you can go with the last one, that is SWAM. But if they are specifically mentioning something, go with the method specified there. Sir, in the case of northwest corner, where we have to start extreme northwest part. From here, we have to make allocation. How to make allocations are whichever is lower. After making allocation, if either this part or this part, if it is becoming zero, either demand part or supply part, if it is becoming zero, then simply what mark cancel it to avoid a confusion. So in the same way, we repeat the process. So the same thing I mentioned in the form of theorem. What is that point, sir? Checks are, there are two checks that I mentioned as 0 step. Okay, that is first and second check. Okay, what are those common checks, ma? First check whether maximization objective or minimization objective. Nothing but maximization model or minimization model. If it is minimization model, super, we are very happy. Then go with the next check. What is the second check, ma? The second check is that whether it's a balanced or unbalanced. Sir, how to check whether it's balanced or unbalanced, ma? Demand equal to supply or not. Okay. And what about next one, ma? Sir, go with the availability or requirement or supply or demand, whichever is lower. Okay. Sir, from top left corner cell, what is the top left corner, ma? This part. From there, we are making allocation. So whichever is lower one. After that, what we have to do, sir? What I have done there, I have represented the same way. Cancel the row or a column where the quantity has been fully exhausted. So I cancel the next. So repeat the process till on the resultant matrix. And repeat those steps. 1, 2, 3, 4 common steps. Again repeat. So now, is it clear, ma'am? Sir, till when we have to repeat the process? Sir, we have to repeat the process till the supply and demand are fully exhausted. Sir, what is this step, sir? Till all these values and this all will values became zero. You have to make the keep on making the process. Okay, is that clear, ma? These steps are very very important, sir. The very first step is what ma check regarding first and second checks, and second one what ma top left corner in the case of northwest corner. Okay, and what about next one, ma? After identifying the cell there, then we can make the allocation whichever is lower. After that, what ma cancel the row where entire quantity got exhausted, and next what's repeat the process of the resultant matrix. Okay, how many times we have to repeat till the supply and demand are fully fulfilled. Okay, am I clear, ma? Next, sir, what is next, sir? So the same question, sir. I have solved the same question and all. Now we are going with the next one. What is next method, sir? Least cost method. This is also known as what, ma? Minimum cost method or minimum cost matrix. Okay, so what is this, sir? In this method also, the one most important thing is that first two checks are common. Okay, let us solve that one. Sir, first two checks. What are those first two checks, ma? Whether minimization model or maximization model. If, sir, how to identify it as a minimization model or maximization model, ma? If it is related to cost, that is transportation cost, or if it is related to any, okay, so transportation cost, mainly cost aspect, then it is a minimization model. But if it is related to revenue, contribution, profit, okay, whichever company feels happy, okay, that is maximization model. Sure now. So if it is a maximization model, we convert it by identifying the highest number. That is same in the case of assignment and here also same. But what about next second check, sir? Second check is also common. What is that, sir? Demand equal to supply or not. So this is demand total and this is supply total, whether both are equal or not. Okay. And next, what is this, sir? What is the heading of this method? Ma? Least cost method. From these all elements, identify the least cost. Okay. And make allocation, sir. Sir, while I'm identifying the least cost, sir, here of all these costs, what is the least cost, ma'am? 10 is the least cost, or 8 is the least cost, ma'am. 10 or 8, whichever is least, buddy, see the numbers. And one more thing, ma'am, my humble request, while you are solving a problem in the case of transportation, assignment, water part in the case of DM, be careful with numbers. If you are not careful and if you are taking number, some wrong number, the calculation will be going wrong. So while solving the problem, keep your mind with peace of mind and do the solving. Am I clear? Okay. So now, so of all these elements, which is the least? 8 is the least. Okay. And for 8, what I can allocate, sir? Either this or this, whichever is lower. I can make allocation of 8. When this part became 0, simply cancel. This process is common. Okay. So, however, sir, while identifying the least element, there can be chances for this least cost can be repeated now. Then what I should do, sir? Basically, when it repeats, go for that least number which has maximum allocation. Okay. So for example, let us go to basic. For here it is 8, basically. For example, there as this 8, two 8s are there, least cost. So if I select this least cost, maximum allocation, how much I can make? 18 or 8, whichever is least 8. So 8 can be allocated. But however, in this case, what is the maximum allocation? 7 or 18. So 7. Maximum allocation 8 or 7 ma? 8. So I will go with that number. Sir, what if the least cost identified and here also it is same, then you can go for arbitral allocation basically. Okay, you can go for any basic allocation and all, you can proceed. But however, while you are making such allocation, be careful and ensure that the next number to be selected should be something very near to that. The next number to be selected from this should be less. But if you are making some other allocation, if it is highest number and all, then it is key for you. Okay, so ensure that also. So what is made more important? Least cost method. So for that reason, when you are making selection, go the least number and make allocation. And if that allocation is done, what next to be done, sir? Go with the next least number and go with the next least number. But there can be tie chance in the least cost now, more than one least cost like this. Then go for that number where we are making maximum allocation. Okay, then it is fine. So repeat the process till all the demand part and supply part totals become exhausted. Am I clear, ma? And one more thing, so if this becomes 0, just cancel that part. That will be effective for you. You can cancel either in this way or in a different way. And if you are making allocation, mention the number here, because for the sake of transportation cost, 8 into 8, that is important. If you are not mentioning that number, you may not take that number also. Then it's they will be getting different number. Okay. So what are steps there? So the very first check, what is the first check, ma? The first check is that basically common. That is what, ma? Minimization model or maximization model, minimization objective or maximization objective, balanced or unbalanced. The balance in the sense demand equal to supply, but there it is rows equal to columns. Okay. So now identify the cell with the least lowest cost. Okay. So the tie chances, that is more than one least cost, that like 8 and 8. Okay, go with the least cost where we can make a maximum allocation. Am I clear, ma'am? Sir, however, and after that, what is this maximum allocation, sir? Supply or demand, basically. That is the part there, and this common is common. It is common for northwest corner method or least cost method. This process is common. Okay. Next, what about next one? Sir, whatever demand part or supply part, if it is exhausted, just cancel it to avoid confusion. Okay. And next, what, sir? Identify the next least cost cell in the resultant matrix. So still we have done with the first part. Now next, of all the balance and all, what is the least? Okay, so till the and then repeat the process. The process is common. You keep on doing this and you will get the answers. Basically, clear, ma'am? Have a quick recall regarding least cost method. So what is the basic thing, sir? We have to identify the least cost there of all the elements, identify the least cost and make allocation. Allocation is common, supply or demand, whichever is lower, not higher, lower, 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 lower. Okay, now. Sir, and one more thing, ma, if the least cost is allocated and if supply part or demand part became zero, cancel that part. Okay, if you're canceling, there won't be any confusion basically. Okay, if it is done, repeat the process on the resultant matrix for a number of times until entire supply part and demand part is fully completed. Okay, they become zero. Okay, next, sir, this is common. Okay, now what is the, sir, from exam point of view, while you are solving the problem in whether NCM, that is northwest corner method and least cost method, and even WAM also, we are initially finding what, ma, initial basic feasible solution. Okay, is it clear, ma? Then, so now first check is very thing common, but here in the case of FAM, the most important aspect is the what, sir? Calculation of penalties. What is penalty, sir? Sir, I will show the matrix so that you will get a clarity. So there is a matrix given there, and while you are solving the problem in WAM basis, try to present this entire problem to the extreme left so that you can have to calculate some basic parts. Like for example, if this is the matrix and all, how to present to this extreme corner. What is the reason, sir? Sir, here at this part, basically, we calculate some values based on that itself, our entire problem will depend. What is it, sir? Sir, basically, we have to calculate row penalties and column penalties. What is this row penalties and column penalties, sir? Nothing but the difference between first least number and next least number. What is that, ma? First least number and next least number. So this calculation should be done for all the rows, and after the completion of rows, you have to calculate for columns. So first, so in this case, sir, it is a row. In the first row, what is the first least number, ma? 10. What is next least number, sir? 19. The difference, that is 9. Okay, so I will write now. The first least number is 10 and second least number is 19. The difference is what, ma? 9. Okay, and now in the case of second row, what is the first least number, ma? 30 and second least number is 40. What is the difference, sir? 10. And the case of second one, so now this I'll arrange. Okay, what is the first least number, ma? 8. And what is next least number, ma? 20. What is the difference there, sir? 12. In this way, we have to calculate the penalties for rows and also for columns. Okay, I will erase this thing. Is it clear with the row penalties, ma? The row penalties are nothing but the difference between first least number and next least number. Sir, here be careful, mom. There can be a chances where the first least number and the second least number are the same. Then there is a type situation. Then do not worry. First least number, next least number is also same. Then the difference is nothing but 0. So for example, if it is 10 here, and for example, if it is 10, the penalty will be 0. Okay, so do not worry regarding that part. That is simple thing. Okay, am I clear, ma? Now next, how to calculate for the penalties for column? Same. Solve the elements. What is the first least number and second least number? So in this case, the first least number is what, ma? 40. Sorry, 19, ma? 19, 19, 19. I'm extremely sorry. Number is 19 and next least number is 40. What is the difference there? The difference is 21. Am I clear, ma? Okay, fine. Sir, what about the next scenario? In the next scenario, what is the first least number, ma? 30. What is next least number, sir? Sorry, first least number is 8. I'm extremely sorry. Okay, so there's a risk with the OM part and even DM part. Sir, we may be good at solving and all, but if you are taking a wrong number, it's a risky. So be careful. And the most important best tool is that what, ma? Taking calci. Okay, do not use your mind and brain. So I'm very good at calculations. Superb, but now not required. Okay, am I fine, ma? If I'm fine, sir, what is next part here, sir? Sir, in this case, what is the first least number, ma? 8. What is next least number? 30. So what is the difference? The difference is 22. Okay, what about next case? Sir, in the next case, what is the first least, ma? The first least number is 40 and the second least number is 50. What is the difference there? The difference between those numbers is 10. And now in this case, What about last body? Regarding the last body, what is the first list number ma? 10. And what is next list number ma? 20. The difference will be 10. Sir, once the penalties are done, for your convenience, my humble request is to check them once. Kind request. Because one by one step if you are checking and you will be fine. But if I go on doing at the end, if you are checking and there is a mistake and all, I have to cancel the entire problem. So be careful with this part. This is very, very serious issue. Okay. So if you are jovial and all, fine. If you are cool, also fine. But no one then. Just for checking, you may be incurring just 2-3 seconds, that's all, or 4 seconds max, or 5 seconds. Okay. That will not be wasted. Sir, in this case, what is the point, mom? This entire part, first list number is 10, next list number is 19, difference is 9. Superb, sir. In the second row, what is the first list number, ma? 30. What is next list number, sir? 40. The difference is what, ma? 10. Superb, sir. In the case of this, what is the first list number? 8. What is next list number? 20. The difference is 12. Fine. These are the row penalties. What about next one, ma? In the case of column, what is the first list number, sir? First list number is 19. Second list number is 40. What is the difference between them? 21. Am I clear? So in this case of second one, what is the first list number? 80. What is the second list number? 30. Difference is 22. And in the case of third column, what is the columns and rows are most important? What are columns? These are columns. What are rows? These are rows. Be careful with that part. Okay. Now first list is 40. Second list is 50. Difference 10. And what about this, ma? First list is 10. What is the next list? Okay. Now it is done, sir. What is the next step, sir? Of all these penalties, I want you to identify the highest penalty, ma. What do you have to identify, ma? Highest penalty. Sir, what is the highest penalty? 21 or 22? 22. Superb, sir. Sir, if there is only one penalty, we are very happy. But there can be scenarios, what point, ma? There can be situation where there are, one second, ma. So, shall we? Sir, we are at what, ma? Which method, ma? WAM. Sir, penalties are calculation is done. What is the next thing, sir? When the penalties calculation is done, we have to identify the highest penalty. Sir, if there is only one highest penalty, we are very happy. We can make the process. What is the process at all? Sir, basically. Sir, I am identifying the highest penalty. Sir, it is in which column? Sir, it is in B2. In the B2 part, what we should do, sir? In the B2 part, identify the least cost. Am I clear, ma? When penalties calculation is done, what is the next thing, ma? In the penalties, identify the highest penalty. Of the highest penalty, so whether it is in column or row, may be. Okay, as of now, in our case, it is in column. So in this column, what is the least cost? For that least cost, make allocation. How to make allocation, ma? Demand or supply, whichever is lower. 8 or 18, whichever is lower. 8 allocate and cancel this part left over with 10, and either it is becoming 0, cancel. This process is same. Okay, na? Am I clear, ma? Sir, I'm repeating the process. This is the most important step. If you should be clear in this part. Sir, what is that, sir? Of all the penalties, identify the highest. After identifying the highest penalty, what we have to do, ma? We have to make the allocation for the least cost. Okay, sir, repeat this process until this entire part becomes 0. Okay, then until they become 0 and all, we make allocation. Am I clear, ma? If this part is done, now what is the next thing, sir? Sir, what is the next part, sir? Now, so there can be scenarios where the penalties are same. Sir, here 22 and here also can be 22. Basically, if two 22s are there, what we should do, sir? Go with the 22. For example, it is 22. So now these two penalties are common. So what I should do, sir? Now what I should do, sir? Go with that penalty where there is least cost. So if I go with this penalty, the least cost is 8. Super. Okay. What about this, ma? In this least cost is 19. Of the least cost, which is least, ma, 8 is the least. Go with that least number. Am I clear? Sir, when there are same highest penalties, what we should do, sir? We have to go with that penalty which has least cost. Here it is 8. Am I clear? And 8 now. here it is 8. But in this case, the least cost is 19. Then normally, what is the main logic there, sir? Sir, we are transporting goods from our factory point to warehouse point. Am I right? When we are transporting, our cost should be minimum. No? Sir, if I'm going with 19, with 8 and all, my cost is increasing. It is not at all appropriate. Okay, am I clear? If I'm clear, I'm going with that number where there is a waste. This number is fine. If it is fine, what is the next thing, ma'am? Sir, now we are done with this part. Okay, and we are going on. But however, what if, sir, these two penalties are superb, same penalties. And again, when I'm going with the least cost, here it is 8. What if there is some 8? What is the next thing to be done there, ma'am? Here we need to be careful regarding one point. Sir, what is an allocation made to here? Or what is the allocation made here? That should be compared, and where maximum allocation is made, that should be opted by you. Am I clear, ma? Sir, here it is 8 and here it is 8. Okay, for here, what is allocation, ma? 8 is allocation. And here, basically 5 is allocation. So which is the highest, ma? 8. This 8 is the highest. Then go with that number. Am I clear? Am I clear with that point, ma? So there can be tie-up points. Be sure with this tie-up points and all. Okay. So till here, whatever we done, these are the basic process to do a problem. And one more most important thing, ma, when the question is not mentioning regarding which method to be used to solve the problem, go with the VAM. Okay. If you calculate the transportation cost by using these all three methods, VAM will give the best answer. And most scientifically proved method is the VAM. Go with the VAM. VAM is nothing but Vogel's approximation method. Okay. So now I'm repeating steps which I have mentioned there. The first checks are common. What are those sigma? Maximization or minimization model, or what is that, ma? Demand equal to supply or not. Okay. Now differences, that is common. First least and second least for all the rows basically. Next what, ma? If first least and second least are same, then normally zero vehicle penalties and all I said now. Regarding in each row, we are checking with the difference between first least and next least. What if those two least numbers are same? Then we get zero penalty. No issues. Okay. Next what, ma? So identify the highest penalty among all the both. And one more point, ma, when you are going with penalties and all, for example, I have gone with this and I made allocation, then cancel this part. And this part is cancelled completely. Do not calculate the penalties for the cancelled row or cancelled column. That is one most important thing. For that sake only, we are telling you to cancel it. If you are cancelling it, then you will not confuse again and again. Either you can go with this cancellation or you can go with this cancellation. Okay, based on your will and wish. Okay, am I clear? If I'm clear, and one more thing, what is most important thing, ma? Sir, for this 8, I'm allocating 8. Mention that number because at the end, the transportation cost is important. And for transportation cost, my humble request, okay, I used to give the information regarding this, regarding all the levels in CMA. Inter I mentioned number of times. What is that value, whether it is units or rupees or kilometers, measurements and all, properly mention that. If you're not mentioning, it's gone. Okay. Now what is next, sir? So these things are common, ma. Availability and requirement. That is nothing but supply or demand. If it is whichever is lower enough, that will be allocated. And next, when it is becoming zero, we cancel it. What about next one, ma? Identify next least cost. What is that, sir? Next least cost. That is the case of LCM. Okay. And VAM is clear now. So highest penalty. What is it, ma? This method is clear. Identify what, ma? Highest penalty among all the penalties. All the penalties we calculate highest. Next, highest penalty can be in a row or a column. There can be chances. Okay. If it is present in row, then what have to do? From that row, what is the least cost? Okay. If it is present in column, from that column, what is the least? Okay. Now, for that number, we make allocation that is common. And chances for tie up in the penalties, now then we can go with that penalty which has least cost. Okay, tie in cost, then ensure maximum allocation. Okay, if tie in maximum allocation also, then go with any number. But ensure that when you are going with any number, the next number which is going to be selected should be something minimal. Okay, next. Repeat the process until the total of supply and demand is fulfilled. Okay, And this is the most important thing. What is that, sir? When so normally when we are having three methods, that is what are these northwest corner, least cost, VAM. But of these three, if they are not giving clarity to go with the solution, to which method and all, go with the VAM. Only VAM is preferable. Okay, because it gives optimal answer and very close to optimal answer. That's the point. And one more thing, in all these methods, whether our answer we arrived at is appropriate or not, or is correct or not, there is one cross check. What is the cross check, sir? Basically, the formula is that m plus n minus 1 equal to number of allocations. If it is satisfied, then our allocation done is appropriate. Okay, sir, but that is optimal solution. What if there can be chances where m plus n minus 1 is less than or equal to number of allocations? No issues. But m plus n minus 1 greater than the number of allocations. Okay, so then we have to must not be, it must not be, it must not be, it must not be. So this solution is known as what, degeneracy solution. So here we have to make some dummy allocations. Am I clear, ma? So there is a basic funda regarding the transportation concept. Okay, so basically, what are the methods we are having, ma? What is the purpose of transportation, buddies? Mainly, organization has a number of products and manufactured from factories, and they should be transported to warehouses. While transporting, what is the main motive, ma? The transportation cost should be minimum, so that which alternative is best, that should be identified clearly. For identification, we are having how many methods, ma? We are having three methods. What are those three methods, buddy? Northwest corner rule or least cost rule or VAM, Vogel's approximation method. In the case of northwest corner, we go with the northwest, that is uppermost corner element. Okay, because northwest corner has a different names. Stepping stone rule or upper left corner rule or Cooper's chance method. Okay, in exam they may ask this area, so be careful. So now we are having this part, and in the case of LCM, that is least cost method, what is the basic step, ma? Identify the least cost and make the allocations. What if there are more than two least costs? Then what have to do, ma? We have to go with that least cost which has maximum allocations. Am I clear? Okay. And next, what about VAM, ma? In the case of Vogel's approximation method, what is the important part? We have to calculate penalties. How to get the penalties, ma? A difference between first least number and next least number. Okay, we have to calculate penalties for rows and columns. This is the entire summary for the transportation method. And in the next session, because n number of guys are asking the problems, this is a basic method revision session and all. And normally, sir, in the next session, we are having the summary. Sir, I'm going to solve the problems of assignment because you are asking regarding salesmen. Okay, and also I'm going to solve one additional problem for network analysis. Okay, and on the transportation part also we are having a problem. Transportation part we are having a problem. And sir, for the next video, in addition to them, we are also going with the what, ma? Game theory. Okay, that is the topic you are having, ma? Sir, I am going to give my best to you so that you get a clarity. And my humble request, sir, as the time is on the right point, do your best, give your best, and get the best. Okay, so sir, in the next session, assignment problems will be dealt, and also network analysis and transportation and game theory. And whenever you are having any doubts and all regarding any problem, because mainly in the assignment and all, few guys are asking that, I'll solve it. And even for asking regarding time series, one by one, I will try my level best to cover as soon as possible. And if you're having any doubts, you can post in the comments, and do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Okay, thank you, ma.